Hello and welcome to my very first dungeon guide for Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. My name is Montag and I'll be guiding you through Holminster Switch, the first dungeon for the expansion. Please note there are story spoilers in this dungeon, so if you've not completed up to this point in the story, I highly recommend you do so first. This dungeon introduces a new feature called Trust, where you can now group with story NPCs rather than using the Duty Finder. While this is convenient to avoid queue times, the runs generally take longer as the NPC capabilities are typically below those of real players. When running Trust missions, you are given the choice of who to take with you. Note that you are required to take the typical light party roles, including 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS. There are many nice features about these companions, and I'll let you experience them for yourself. That being said, let's move on to the first boss. If you've been following the story, you should recognize this first boss. It's Forgiven Dissonance, the now one-winged warrior that sealed the fate of one of our former friends. And as you can see, Alice is not too happy to see it. It's time to get revenge for our fallen comrade. The mechanics in this fight aren't anything you haven't seen before. While positioning can get a bit tricky if you don't have an escape mechanic on your class, the fight is pretty simple otherwise. The two moves to look out for are the Path of Light, which does AoE group damage, and Pillory, which is a single target tank buster. Also note that patterns do change slightly throughout the fight. Oh, and don't even think about dying. You're too bloody useful. And that's it for our first fight. Forgiven Dissonance is dead. We have gotten our revenge, but our friend is still out there somewhere. Let's continue on to the next fight. As you approach this boss, you'll notice a familiar face. That's right, we finally found Tesleen. With little time to grieve the loss of her friend, Alice is focused on putting Tesleen's soul to rest. You might be happy to know that this fight requires less dodging than the previous fight. It includes the usual tank buster and AoE damage, but there are two mechanics to make note of. The first ability to look out for is Fevered Flagellation. 4 markers appear over the player's heads with the number of dots counting 1 to 4. The boss attacks in this order with an AoE swipe, so players need to spread out as to not get cleaved by the attacks. The second is Exercise. This ability is targeted on one person and the group needs to gather to spread the damage. As this occurs, 4 more AoE markers will appear in set locations on the battlefield. Note that the NPCs will run to the center of the field every time this occurs, then back to the edge of the ring to continue the fight. After the attack hits, AoE frost fields will spawn in 5 locations, and standing in them will inflict players with the burning status. From here, just knock down your hit points and celebrate your victory. Tesleen is now at rest, and Alice's heart may finally be at rest as well. However, the one responsible for all of this is still waiting for us ahead. And finally, after slashing through hordes of Sin Eaters, we come across the Light Warden Philia. She's not terribly difficult to beat, but she does make sure you are paying attention. Let's begin. The first ability to look out for is Pendulum. This is a 2-hit leap combo that uses the distance mechanic for damage. To minimize damage, the tank needs to run to the far wall of the arena, while the other party members run to the opposite wall. The first hit will go to the tank, while the second hits the center. The whole party will want to wait over the wall for a second hit to complete. The next ability is called Chain Down, which locks a random DPS in an iron chain and targets them with a wide range AoE. Simply break down the chain and move out of the way. Now here's where the boss tries to get tricky. After finishing her AoE, she tries to do a wide range smack with each arm. Keep an eye on the cast bar as the broadcast wireless is delayed. The abilities are called Right Knout and Left Knout respectively. There are 3 more abilities she uses. 2 are pretty plain and simple, so I'll go over them quick. One is called Into the Light, which targets a player with orange arrows, indicating to stack on top of that player. The other is called Taphophobia, which marks each player with a purple marker, requiring a player to spread out. And the final ability I want to cover is called Fierce Speeding. You'll notice arrows pointing and rotating in a clockwise direction around the boss. This function is a lot like the Ultras in Typhon fight, and you have to keep moving to avoid damage. It is a bit lenient in the fact that she alternates her attacks between the ground smashes and tail swipes. Now that you know the mechanics, all that's left is to drop her hit points to 0 and vanquish her from the land. Thank you for watching my dungeon guide. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can also find my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord links down below. May you have a safe journey wherever you go, and I will see you in the next guide.